Hi, today is the almost afternoon of February 13th. A follow-up to last night. I got a hold of my nurse practitioner and she said basically the same thing, so now I can't take ibuprofen or Norco. Both of them may be hurting my stomach, so I'm just on Tylenol. Plain old Tylenol for now. And I'm going to try things like Pepcid and also increasing my water intake in case it's something like constipation, which I seem to have a little bit of. Also, I have a couple just things that I wanted to mention that I've been collecting. Let's see. Hospital air is very dry and very filtered. One of the parts of my body that still hurts is my neck, where they put this access tube. And the scar there, you can see it's fairly deep looking. I mean, for something of the IV class of wounds, access tubes are nice because they can give you basically anything instantly without you even feeling it. But on the other hand, it hurts almost the entire time that it's in, and more as time goes on. And then after they take it out, it still continues to hurt for a while. In the hospital, and still now, I fall asleep very easily, sometimes just nodding off. Though, now I'm having a little more difficulty falling asleep because every time I try to get into position, I get nauseated. And in the hospital, too, it was difficult to get into the sleeping position. Just arranging myself on the bed and such. In the hospital, it can be very confusing when you overhear nurses talking. There were at least a couple people whose cases sounded very much the same as my own in certain parts. The guy who was in the ICU with me, I thought at first that his case was mine when I heard the nurses start talking about him, and then move on to me. And at one point, I thought that my tachycardia had caused me to require intubation and defibrillation, and that they just didn't tell me this. I clarified that later, though. I'm still not sure who they were talking about, but when they talk about patients, sometimes they literally go back and forth. So, trying to overhear them talking about you is probably not a good idea, because you're just going to get a lot of confused information. At one point in time, my nurse even put up another of her patients on my own monitor, because that patient was having an episode with a very high heart rate and a low blood pressure. And the monitor started making alarm noises because of that. So, it's just make sure, if you want to know things, make sure they're clear and make sure they're about you. Last thing. All throughout this time, I've been able to move my legs freely, which is funny because everything above my legs has been either sore or tired, or my arms had IVs attached to them. Now I still can't use them to push or lift heavy things for several weeks while the sternum heals. But when I woke up, I should clarify, I didn't wake up in the ICU. Like I said, that's just the last time I remember. I must have woken up in the recovery room, and they would have checked me before they removed the breathing tube, but you never remember that. When I woke up, I could move around my legs fairly freely, even though I couldn't move really any of the rest of my body. Not really a paralysis type of thing. I just sort of felt pinned down to the bed due to having wires and fatigue and soreness and that kind of thing. And I continued to be able to move my legs freely, and now I can use them to push things like furniture or close my door that I could not otherwise do with my arms. So that's a plus, at least. I also wanted to put up pictures of some of my scars. The drainage tube scar, I will be looking at that later today, because I was told that I could remove it and put a Band-Aid over it, but I haven't done so yet. And the incision is the only other major thing, and what is there to say about that? It's got a bunch of stitches in it. It still looks open, but I've never actually seen it bleed, except for a couple drops when I replaced the bandage that was kind of stuck to it, just like surface openings. So, it must be closed pretty well. It's also got some kind of water-resistant cover on it, which I don't think is exactly glue. I think it's just a coating. Okay, that's all for now.